If you are watching this video right now, there is no way videos on the mirror principle didn't cross your eyes. But if you just done a little bit of research, you will know that there is nothing called the mirror principle. If you search on Google the mirror principle, you will find its definition, just repeated terms that we all know as facts. Even if you ask ChatGPT what is the mirror principle, it will tell you that there isn't a widely recognized concept referred to as the mirror principle in the context of spirituality or philosophy, and most of the content creators use it as another term for the law of attraction and shaping reality. The mirror principle has no specific pinpointed origin, and it is just collected opinions from random people. It might be just another promotional hook to sell you courses. So is everything this mirror principle said wrong? Not specifically, but here is the thing. The mirror principle is just a cheap copy of the principle of correspondence from the Kybalion. So the true secret, if you want to correct your beliefs about the copy of the mirror principle, I highly suggest you to learn about the original one from ancient Egyptian and Greek wisdom, which is today's topic, the principle of correspondence. In the Hellenistic age, there was a man called Hermes Trismegistus. He is a combination of Hermes, the Greek god of interpretive communication, and Tut, the Egyptian god of wisdom. He was the author of the Hermetica, a collection of ancient philosophical and mystical texts covering spiritual wisdom, alchemy, astrology, and mysticism, and he formed the basis of the philosophical tradition known as Hermeticism. The ancient wisdom attributed to him reflects a deep understanding of both the physical and spiritual realms. This made his writings highly relevant to those intrigued by the connection between the material and the divine, as they offered valuable insights into the interplay of these two aspects. Centuries passed, and the wisdom of Hermes found its way into unusual writing. An anonymous work published in 1908 called the Kybalion. This modern manifestation of ancient teachings claimed to reveal the principles of Hermes Trismegistus in a simple and easy way to understand. This book extracts its teachings into 7 principles known as the 7 Hermetic principles. One of them is the principle of correspondence. You might have heard this phrase before, as above so below, as below so above, which is the second verse of the Emerald Tablet by Hermes Trismegistus. This principle explains that there is a correspondence or similarity between all the planes of existence. For example, in the physical plane, correspondence exists in nature as fractals. When you zoom in on a fractal, the tiny parts look like the entire structure. One of the most famous examples of fractals in nature is the coastline paradox. The more you zoom in on the coastline, the more detailed patterns you see, which look similar at different levels. Lightning bolts have a fractal pattern like tree branches, creating detailed and similar paths in the air. Lots of plants, clouds, and even the galaxy show spirals. When you count them, they follow the Fibonacci spiral. Now, as you know, there are a lot of correspondence examples in nature. But what is the Kybalion trying to tell us? It tells us that this principle extends beyond the physical plane, creating a correspondence between all planes of existence. Before we get any further, we should respect the principle of mentalism, which states the all is mind, the universe is mental. This all has no definition, but we can explain it as a universal, all-encompassing mind or consciousness that forms the essence and saturates all of existence. It is a fundamental interconnectedness of all things through a universal mind. In this universal mind exist different planes. To understand the meaning of a plane, let's look at it as dimensions in our physical world. In the realm of dimensions, a straight line is like a simple mark with only length. It exists in just one dimension. A square is similar to a drawing on paper. It's more than just a line, it has both length and width, making it two-dimensional. Now, a cube is like a box, adding a third dimension with length, width, and height. Each dimension adds complexity and reality to an object. But is it the same for humans? Of course not. Both a phone and a human exist in the third dimension, but they differ in how complicated or alive they appear. The difference, as the Hermetics claims, it can be measured as vibrations. And as the book mentions in the principle of vibration, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. And science proves that everything is always moving and vibrating, whether it's the tiniest particles or the objects around us. they all have their own natural way of wiggling or shaking. Scientists study these movements to understand how things behave, like why some materials are hard or soft, or how light and sound work. It is the same for humans. The way someone vibrates can tell us about its spiritual side. The higher the vibration, the closer it is to the all. And planes of correspondence help us understand what's going on at different levels of vibrations. For example, in the middle of a dream, everything seems real until you wake up. This dreaming state is another plane like the physical plane, which we call reality. Both planes are connected, but one is mental while the other is physical. A diamond is a solid form of pure carbon where its atoms are arranged in a crystal structure. Even though it's still made of carbon, we perceive it differently due to its unique arrangement. Same with the planes of correspondence. You will experience different things at different levels. The Kybalion states that there is a harmony between three planes of existence: the great physical plane, the great mental plane, and the great spiritual plane. As we said about diamonds and carbons, they are all the same thing but vibrating at different levels. It's all energy and consciousness taking on different forms. 3 years before the Kybalion was published, Albert Einstein's groundbreaking equation was revealed, expressing the fact that mass and energy are the same physical entity and can be changed into each other. The physical plane is all about the stuff we can touch and see. It's like our everyday world following the rules of science. Things happen for a reason, and actions have consequences. Even though it seems real, there is an idea that it's a bit like an illusion, prompting us to look beyond what we can immediately sense. The mental plane is like a world of thoughts and ideas. Unlike the physical world we see, this is more about what's in our head, our ideas and understanding. The Kybalion suggests that even rocks and crystals might have basic life forces or entities like simple souls, which people doubt because we are still trying to understand the connection between the mind and brain in humans. So how can we jump like that to the minds of minerals, crystals and plants? The Kybalion said that there is a plane of animal minds where animal thoughts exist. Most people are in the fourth part of the human mind plane, and only really smart people like Einstein and Newton reach the fifth part. In fact, Isaac Newton was a fan of the Hermetic philosophy and alchemy. He even translated the Emerald Tablet of Hermes like one of his translations. This is true without lying, certain and most true. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below. The Hermetics believe that it will take humanity a long time to reach the seventh part of the great mental plane. The spiritual plane is like a special realm beyond what we can touch or think about. It's about things like feeling connected to something bigger than ourselves, understanding deep truths, and having a sense of inner wisdom. Unlike the everyday world we see or the thoughts we have, the spiritual plane is more about the sacred and the divine. It's like a space where we explore our higher selves and connect with something greater. The idea is that the laws governing the spiritual realm also affect the physical and mental parts of our lives, showing how everything is connected in a big cosmic way. So, how can we apply all of this knowledge into our lives? I won't promise you anything, but there is one thing that you can get from this video that will affect your physical plane instantly, which is negative thinking. This doctor revealed that most people that come to him with physical issues is actually because of their thoughts. He found out that those people have internal thoughts that generate stress because the nature of these internal thoughts are negative. It doesn't have to be from other people, but those self-made thoughts that people negatively make about themselves releases a huge stress pattern which actually destroys their body. For example, when people fail at something, they beat themselves consciously and unconsciously, and this makes the body react as if they were in a dangerous situation with cortisol all over the body. And of course, this leads to mental and physical issues like heart problems. So while you are sitting in your place stressing about something, you are actually destroying your body by yourself. You don't have to think positively or have that hopeful view in life, which may lead you to a deep negative mental state in the end, but at least don't think or analyze things in a negative way. Have you ever been dreaming and suddenly you realize that you are dreaming right now? But this time, you have not woken up yet. You're still in the dream. Now you start controlling your dream, manifest anything you want in seconds, and all it takes is your intention. But if you doubt that you can fly, you won't. This is what science calls lucid dreaming. And actually, what this principle of correspondence trying to explain to us is that it's the same with reality. You can get wherever you want if you have the real intention and no doubt about it. The difference is in just the type of the plane. If you remember, all the planes are connected and work in harmony. But the way we see them is different because of certain conditions, like what we said about the carbon being the diamond after pressure. Yes, it is difficult for the physical plane to change instantly because it's under other laws that makes the change take some time. But it is always the same principle. I'm not gonna give you hope like other YouTubers saying that your thoughts can change your reality, but your thoughts and intentions are your reality. This video right now is in your reality because you had the thought to click on it in the first place. And even you thinking about it right now is because you had a thought of watching till now. And if we try to look at thoughts, they are just an illusion. They don't exist as a form of thought, but they are existing in reality as a form of actions and consequences. And guess what? This gets us back to the principle of mentalism, which says the all is mind, the universe is mental. This doesn't mean that you are controlling the universe or something like that, but everything that exists, whether physically, mentally, or even spiritually, it is all connected to give you an experience, and each of us is having its own experience and reality. And this is the core of the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above.